A formidable new geopolitical and economic axis has formally coalesced as the expanded BRICS group of nations announced a comprehensive strategic partnership aimed at fundamentally reshaping the global order. In a joint declaration issued following an extraordinary virtual summit, the leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and its newer members, including Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Ethiopia, have committed to a unified front on economic, political, and security matters. This landmark move is widely interpreted as a direct and audacious challenge to the long-standing international framework dominated by the United States and its Western allies. The declaration outlines a concrete roadmap for accelerated de-dollarization, the creation of an alternative financial architecture, and enhanced military cooperation, signaling the dawn of a new, more confrontational era of multipolar competition. The timing of this announcement is not coincidental, coming as the new administration of President Donald Trump begins to articulate its foreign and economic policies, setting the stage for a high-stakes contest for global influence. The unity displayed by this diverse group of nations, which collectively represents nearly half the world's population and a significant and growing share of its GDP, marks a pivotal moment in 21st century geopolitics. The core of the BRICS unification strategy is a concrete and aggressive push to dismantle the supremacy of the US dollar in international trade and finance. The joint declaration formalized the bloc's commitment to conducting the vast majority of trade among its members in their respective national currencies, effectively bypassing the dollar-centric global financial systems. To facilitate this monumental shift, the leaders announced the operational launch of a new unified BRICS pay system, a sophisticated digital platform designed to seamlessly handle cross-border transactions and settlements outside the SWIFT messaging network. This new system, which has been under development for several years, is designed to be impervious to Western sanctions and financial pressure, a lesson learned with great urgency by Moscow following the unprecedented sanctions imposed upon it. The plan detailed a phased transition, beginning with bilateral trade in key commodities like oil, gas, and agricultural products. For instance, major energy transactions between Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran with China and India will now be settled in yuan or rupees, a move that directly strikes at the heart of the petrodollar system that has buttressed American economic power for decades. This initiative is being closely scrutinized by the U.S. Department of the Treasury under Secretary Scott Bessent, who now face the daunting task of countering a systematic challenge to dollar dominance that could have profound implications for U.S. borrowing costs and the financing of its national debt. The BRICS nations are betting that their collective economic weight and control over critical resources will be sufficient to create a self-sustaining financial ecosystem that is attractive to other non-Western nations. Further bolstering this economic realignment is the expanded role of the new development bank, NDB, the bloc's alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The NDB has been recapitalized by its member and mandated to aggressively expand its lending portfolio for infrastructure and sustainable development projects across the global south, with all loans to be denominated in the national currency of the BRICS member. This policy offers developing nations a crucial alternative source of financing, free from the political conditionalities and policy prescriptions often attached to loans from Washington-based institutions. The declaration also called for an acceleration of studies into the feasibility of a common BRICS reserve currency, a digital asset backed by a basket of commodities including gold, oil, and other rare earth minerals in which the member states are rich. While the creation of such a currency remains a long-term and complex ambition, its formal inclusion in the strategic plan signals the bloc's ultimate goal: to create a parallel universe of finance and economics that is fully independent of American control. These moves present a direct challenge to the U.S. Commerce Department, led by Secretary Howard Lutnick, and the United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who must now devise strategies to compete in a world where the traditional levels of American economic powers are being systematically eroded. On the diplomatic and political front, the United BRICS bloc has pledged to act as a cohesive counterweight to the G7 and other Western-led grouping. The joint declaration articulates a shared vision for a just and equitable multipolar world order, explicitly rejecting concepts of exceptionalisms and bloc-based confrontation. The members have agreed to coordinate their voting positions within the United Nations and other international organizations to more effectively champion their collective interests and those of the wider developing world. A key passage in the declaration expressed unified opposition to the use of unilateral sanctions as a tool of foreign policy, calling them illegal and counterproductive. This unified stance creates a significant new diplomatic hurdle for the foreign policy agenda of the Trump administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has advocated for robust and assertive American foreign policy, will now find it increasingly difficult to isolate nations like Russia or Iran when they are backed by a powerful and unified bloc that include major economies like China and India, as well as key regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Brazil. The BRICS' unified position on global conflict, while carefully worded to maintain a degree of flexibility for individual members, emphasize dialogue and diplomacy over military solutions and implicitly criticize what it views as Western interference in regional affairs. The declaration's most alarming component for Western security planners is the formal commitment to deepening and expanding military and security cooperation among the BRICS members. Building on a series of increasingly sophisticated joint military exercises over the past few years, the bloc announced the establishment of a permanent joint military committee to coordinate defense policy, intelligence sharing, and counterterrorism efforts. The plan calls for an increase in the frequency, scale, and complexity of joint drills, focusing on interoperability in naval, air, and cyber domains. Future exercises are slated to take place in strategically sensitive regions, including the Indian Ocean, the South China Sea, and off the coast of South Africa and South America, representing a direct challenge to the global military posture of the United States. The agreement also includes provisions for joint development and production of military hardware, aiming to reduce the members' reliance on Western arms suppliers. This aspect of the unification is of particular concern to the Department of Defense under Secretary Peter Hegseth. The prospect of enhanced military technical cooperation between Russia, with its advanced defense technology, and China, with its massive industrial capacity, is a nightmare scenario for Pentagon strategists. Furthermore, the inclusion of Iran, a nation with significant asymmetric warfare capabilities, into this security framework adds another layer of complexity and potential threat. The intelligence implications are also profound, presenting a formidable challenge for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe, who must now assess the capabilities and intentions of a more integrated and coordinated security bloc. The successful integration of the bloc's new member has been a critical catalyst for this bold unification push. The accession of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran brings three of the world's largest energy producers into the fold, giving the expanded BRICS enormous leverage over global energy markets and supercharging its de-dollarization ambition. The inclusion of Egypt, a strategic power linking Africa and the Middle East, and Ethiopia, one of Africa's fastest growing economies and a key political players in the Horn of Africa, significantly enhanced the bloc's geographic reach and political influence on the African continent. This expansion has transformed BRICS from a disparate group of rising economies into a truly global coalition with a formidable presence across multiple continents. The process of integration has not been without friction, particularly given the historical rivalry between members like China and India, or Saudi Arabia and Iran. However, a shared perception of being unfairly targeted or constrained by a U.S.-led order has proven to be a powerful unifying force, compelling these diverse nations to set aside some of their differences in pursuit of a common strategic objective. They have found more strength in cooperation than in competition, driven by the belief that the current global system is rigged against them. The leadership dynamic within the expanded BRICS is clearly dominated by the strategic partnership between China and Russia. Beijing provides the immense economic engine, the technological prowess, and the long-term vision for a new global economic architecture. Its Belt and Road Initiative, combined with its leadership in the digital technologies, form the economic backbone of the BRICS project. Moscow, meanwhile, provides the political will, the military muscle, and the defiant spirit born from its direct and ongoing competition with the West. The war in Ukraine has acted as an accelerator, hardening Russia's resolve to break free from the Western sphere and making it the most aggressive proponent of creating alternative systems. While other members like India, Brazil, and South Africa harbor their own ambition and maintain a more nuanced approach, often seeking to balance their relationship with both the West and the BRICS bloc, the powerful gravitational pull of the Sino-Russian axis is increasingly setting the group's agenda. These members, while valuing their strategic autonomy, recognize that their aspiration for a greater role on the world stage are better served within the framework of a powerful coalition than in isolation. The response from Washington to this unified BRICS front has been a mixture of public dismissal and private concern. President Trump has reportedly characterized the bloc's declaration as just more talk from countries that have little in common. However, behind the scene, a comprehensive policy review is underway across all relevant government agencies. Secretary of State Rubio is expected to embark on a diplomatic offensive aimed at shoring up alliance and attempting to exploit the latent divisions within the BRICS group, particularly by appealing to India's security concerns regarding China and Brazil's traditional ties to the United States. At the Treasury, Secretary Besson is likely exploring countermeasures to protect the dollar's status, which could include new financial instruments to make holding dollars more attractive or even targeted sanctions against institutions facilitating the BRICS pay system. Commerce Secretary Lutnick and USTR Greer are tasked with developing a new trade strategy that can compete with China's influence and the allure of the BRICS economy model, possibly by fast-tracking trade agreement with countries on the periphery of the bloc. At the Pentagon, Secretary Hegseth has ordered a reassessment of U.S. force posture in key theaters like the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East to account for the increased potential for coordinated military action by BRICS members. The challenge for the Trump administration is immense and multifaceted, as the BRICS strategy is not a direct military threat in the traditional sense, but a systematic long-term assault on the very foundation of American global power. In conclusion, the unification of the expanded BRICS bloc represents the most significant geopolitical development of the past year, marking the formal arrival of a powerful and determined coalition seeking to establish a multipolar world order. Its comprehensive strategy to challenging U.S. dominance on the economic, diplomatic, and security front is well-defined and backed by the collective will of nations representing a vast portion of humanity. The operational launch of alternative financial systems and the deepening of military cooperation are not mere symbolic gesture. They are concrete steps in the construction of a parallel global system. This development moves the world beyond theoretical discussions of multipolarity into a practical reality of two competing global systems, one led by the United States and the other increasingly centered on the Sino-Russian-led BRICS. The coming month will be a critical test for the Trump administration as it formulates its response to this unprecedented challenge. The decision made in Washington, Beijing, Moscow, and the other BRICS capitals will determine the trajectory of global politics for the remainders of the decade and beyond, in what promised to be a tense and unpredictable new chapter in international relations. The era of the undisputed unipolar moment is definitely over, and the era of direct systemic competition has begun. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed. And that is actually what makes the show go on. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to World Global Conflict, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first one's on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you're a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen the show before and you like it, help me. Help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.